So you should be able to see now the first screen of the presentation, I suppose.
Yes.
That's very good. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Jörg Geiger, and I'm one of the chairs of the Privacy IG. Just some words before. This was planned as a hybrid meeting. Actually, since neither me nor the co-chair will be or is at Seoul, much to my regret, I'm not able to come to Korea since I have been there sometime and I enjoyed it very much, I must say. So this will be basically a virtual meeting, and I didn't want to change anything to a live meeting or hybrid meeting, the hybrid meeting to a fully virtual meeting, just because this would cause lots of problems, and so we'll stick to that virtual meeting, to this hybrid meeting. And another point is the co-chair, Freya, was expected to be here, and I had some communication before P19, but since I haven't heard anything from her, so I'm not sure what the current status is. Looking at the list of participants, I haven't found her, so maybe there's some very good reasons for her, or more good, probably not good reasons, not to be here. So that's unfortunate, but so we'll start with the meeting right ahead. First thing is the collaborative session notes are found under this link, and I'll put this link as well into the chat so everyone will be able to, just a second, to access this. It's I think so. This should work. If there are any problems, please come back on me. I'll try to. If there's something to do, I'll do that. So, so please enter your, as usual, your name, address, affiliation into this there's attendees list, and feel free to make your comments and additions to the document. So we'll start with in our agenda with a round of introduction. So very short from my side. I'm active in this group since I think it's P12 or P11 or something like that. I'm at the University of Würzburg. I'm heading the laboratory and body fluids part of the unit of our interdisciplinary biobank here in Würzburg. I'm teaching quantitative biology and systems biology as well, and much in the field of data science as such. So, and with this, I'm also very much concerned regarding health data with the issues of privacy in the whole field of health data, and active there in Germany, also in several working groups. So I think we should go. I got to have a participant somewhere. I'm sorry, got to check where the participant list, so we can get straight through. So I think we start with, just as I see them, it's Andrew would you mind just introducing yourself?
Yes, of course, Jörg. So my name is Andrew Rower. I work for the Australian Research Data Commons. We have a number of projects in the health data area, in particular a project called HASANDA, the health, I'm trying to remember what this S stands for now, Health National Data Assets Project, and we also have a number of privacy preserving virtual research environments working with health data. And in particular, I'm attending this session because we are about to start what we're calling a thematic research data commons in the area of health data.
Oh, very good. So in the list, next one I can see is Kylie Black. Would you please introduce yourself?
Hi, that's me. Yeah, also from the Australian Research Data Commons. It's a very convenient time in Australia here for this session. Pretty much what Andrew said. However, I also wear a hat where I work for the University of Western Australia, and particularly interested in sensitive data and its governance relating to health research there as well. So yeah, sort of the two angles on it from my perspective.
Okay, so next one would be Saila Huskonen. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, wait a minute. Yes, hello. Nice to be here. I come from Tampere University Library, Finland, and I work as part of Research Data Services team. And our task is, of course, promote open science, but quite a lot we also discuss about ethical issues and also those limitations when our researchers are not able to open the data. This is the case, for example, if they do studies about health or in some cases also in social work. So sort of this session sort of had all those key points for me: privacy and reuse and opening. So I'm curious to see about what we are going to discuss.
Okay, thank you. The next on the list I can see is Brent. Oh, just stopped. Brent Ortrun. Could you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, do you hear me properly?
Very good, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm Ortrun Brand from Germany, from a federal research data management project, and I am usually concerned with privacy issues in research data management projects, so I'm just interested in listening what you're working on. Thank you.
Thank you. So there is one is oh yeah. I'm sorry, I'm not very good in pronouncing. I think it's a Korean name. Qing Rui Zhuang, or Chinese name. Could you please introduce yourself? I'm sorry if I've misspelled anything or mispronounced your name. So you don't, I can't hear anything. There is also no mic available. As soon as you're, it seems that you're not connected to the sound system. So, okay. Whenever you're ready, just drop a note in the chat, and so you probably can introduce yourself. Let me see. So, to coming back to the agenda, So we'll have a short update on the previous meeting, which was last year. And then I think we should go for the discussion on our focus, and from that devise a work plan. Just for those who haven't been here last time or probably don't remember, this IG has this major objective to produce insights and guidelines for the community, for those who are responsible or involved in handling data and data which are, where privacy applications are relevant. The group chairs are Freya von den Boom and myself. So we have to go back a bit to understand the whole story. So initially it was the RDA and ISO privacy implications of research data sets. It used to be that until I think it was P16 or so, when an ISO dropped from there and Todd Carpenter stepped back. So it was more left orphaned for some time. And since I was not able to carry on for several health reasons, I had to stop on working on that. But Freya and me, we tried to revamp the whole IG, and did so at P18 last year, where we decided that we got to adjust the scope, which was, let's say at that time, no longer really valid and appropriate for us. And there at this meeting also we decided to set up first really a more common definition of privacy, which is still an open discussion. And particularly as there's in the meantime the IG on sensitive data has been initiated, it was clear that we got to collaborate and exchange very closely with them, because there's many points where we touch each other. And but this also means that we got to differentiate privacy and sensitive data, and to see where the overlaps are, and not to do some duplicate development. At the P18, during the discussion and several polls, we resolved to resume
George?
some. Yeah.
I'm really sorry for interrupting this session, but on site we couldn't really hear you, and I was wondering if online participant could hear you. Would you be able?
Yeah, his audio is fine for the people on the Zoom meeting.
Can George try to set your microphone setting like differently?
Yeah, I'll try my best to do it. Is it better now?
Yeah, it's a little better.
A little better only. Let me see. To check. Is there something to? I've got to see this. There's something to be done. I wonder. Usually there is some way to adapt
Jörg,
this.
there's an audio setting where one of the options is automatically adjust microphone volume. Perhaps if you turn that off and manage it manually.
Well, in fact, I must admit I tried to access this. Just this doesn't. I know this. I'm using that always, and I just stopped sharing. Let's see if I'm going to the. normally it's possible to do, but the only option I receive is leave computer audio, and that's it. It's no way to change anything. It switches off and on, but
it's because you're using the embedded Zoom within Hoover.
Yeah.
And I agree with Andreas's comment in chat. The audio is perfectly fine for the Zoom meeting. So I think the issue is at the remote end.
Okay, so
in fact,
probably they can.
If Jörg turns his volume up much louder, it will be really too loud, perhaps.
Okay, so
For
you
us,
probably kind of, yeah. You might probably turn up the level at the meeting room, so that's better to understand. I think you've got probably, yeah, lift volume if it's possible.
Cool. George is really clear for
Yeah.
us now. Yeah, thanks for your cooperation, and
Yeah, no problem.
resume your session. Thank you.
Yeah, it's okay. So no problem. You to solve problems rather to generate. So, okay. So the legacy projects we were discussing was the glossary, which had been initiated already before. And I think we got to look into that now. Then there was a laws and regulations registry, which is clearly outdated in the meantime. So we got to revisit that. And the third point, I think, is also something that can be continued and has, yeah, some collection on question has been already placed there. It's a privacy FAQ. So they're very fundamental things, but I think relevant and useful for everyone working in this field. In addition, we thought about what might be relevant projects to embark on and to work on. One was, so in general, was the proposal to think about best practices or even, yeah, implementations which exemplify some standard ways. And one is pseudonymization of data, which is really quite an interesting issue because at least in within Europe, pseudonymization is now a central part in the whole data protection rules. And the other part is anonymization, which is a lot of debate going on to which degree anonymity at all can be achieved for data, and how effective can anonymization be at all. So, because in many regards, anonymized data are regarded to drop out of privacy issues, so they are no longer regarded sensitive and no longer regarded to pertain to a particular individual, so can be used broadly and shared without any limitations. So these two items, I think, are quite relevant. So for the definitions, there is quite a wide range, but if you're looking at traditional definitions, which you'll find in first, just I would like to stop here. We got to, probably there might be questions on this status, history, further development. So yeah, please, if there are any questions, please place them here or comments. I see several people have in meantime also arrived here, so maybe we should continue with our introductory round. If there are no questions, and I don't see any in here, I think if no one minds, I would really propose that we carry on with the introductory round now, since several people have arrived, and the first in the list I can see is Andreas Rower. Could you please introduce yourself now?
Yes, sure, very happily. So, and I hope it don't lead to background noise, because I'm dialed in and physically present in the room. So
we're getting echo,
Andreas Rower.
Andy.
Okay. So it seems I either used the microphone here.
There seems to be some problem.
Does it work now? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, although you were quite soft.
Yeah, but okay.
So did you hear me at all before or not?
No, not at all. Not a single word.
Okay, so Andreas Rower, Technical University of Vienna. And the reason why I'm here in this session is that 2 years ago, we started developing a data visiting platform that allows data owners to provide access to highly sensitive data without giving up control of the data. So not sharing the data, but we're operating on a completely sealed off environment where the data is being provided on virtual machines, isolated for each specific researcher, for each specific question, where you don't get a direct connection in any way to the physical machine, but using only a video screen in between, so a virtual remote desktop, basically. And we've implemented and released, we have been operating such an infrastructure very isolatedly for a very specific task for 10 years. And then 2 years ago, we decided to re-implement it based on open source components. And now we're actually trying to see whether, or talk to those people that have implemented a similar platform, try to find out where the similarities are, what we did correctly, what we might have missed, to understand the risks better, trying to find whether there's any side channel attacks, how users might still sneak off data. We found one, which is blinking QR codes steganographically embedded in the screen. But then again, since all the code is being monitored, it would be hard to operate that side channel. But still, we're trying to learn from that, and we have the standard anonymization and pseudonymization techniques embedded as well, but we don't trust them very much, because if the data is sufficiently sensitive and somebody really wants to attack it, most pseudonymization techniques can be broken eventually. So that's why we want to combine it with really keeping control of the data, so that somebody who wants to work even with pseudonymized data cannot run attacks against it. Sorry, that was longer than just an introduction. Sorry.
Yeah, but
it kept me talking.
Yeah, thank you. I know it's really interesting to hear that, how these problems are approached. There are other people in the room, probably just could you coordinate that each of them can come to the mic and shortly introduce? Because I cannot see everyone. I cannot see the names of everyone in the room, probably, if they are not registered here.
Hello, my name is Dominique Green. I am from the Digital Curation Center in Scotland. I am a research data specialist there. I do a lot of training on data sharing and reuse, and that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mary Almansig, currently with Repeta, part of the digital science portfolio. I was previously with the RDA US office, and before that, I became really interested in this topic. I was a manager of a data repository at a major medical school, and so we had a repository of healthcare records that we needed to be very protective over. And then before that, I was the data manager for a post-traumatic stress disorder research program focusing on interpersonal violence and therapeutic interventions. So data that, of course, we really wanted to protect as well, but also figure out a way to share that information so that other researchers can make use of it as well. So,
thank you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Devin Ray Donaldson. I'm a new associate professor in the Department of Information and Library Science at Indiana University, Bloomington, in the Luddy School of Informatics, Computing, and Engineering. I say that because I just found out like last month that I got tenure. And thank you. So in fact, this is the first time that there's a, it says that on my participant thing. I'm happy to be here because I'm really interested in scientific data reuse and just different scenarios where it's important to reuse the data. And so one of the projects that I've been looking at looks at data quality issues for EHR data. And of course, there's some sensitive data there and on many different levels. And so for that reason in particular, I was really interested in coming to this session. Okay.
Hi everyone, my name is Julius Oponya. I'm a graduate student at the University of Science and Technology here in Daejeon, South Korea, for those that are not here. I'm in a lab that deals on biomedical signal data, so that's the reason why I'm here, to learn from what your experiences are, because I deal with mostly data. Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone. Julius and I are coming from the same lab. I am also working on the biomedical field in terms of human diseases, particularly Alzheimer's disease. I'm here because I am interested in protecting the privacy of data, and I want to know how to protect the ownership of after sharing the data. So that's why I'm here. Thank you. Sorry, my name is Mi. I'm from Vietnam. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello everyone, my name is Young-Sik Kim. I'm a faculty member in the Department of Library Information Science at Sungkyunkwan University. I did a good amount of research in the field of scientific data sharing and reuse, so that's why I'm here to hear more new ideas in this field of scientific data sharing and reuse. Thank you.
Come. So, okay, there's someone left.
Hi, my name is Sang-Yeol Yoon, and I work in the KOAMI, which co-work with Ministry of Industry Korea. So I am in the GBC Center, which GBC means Global Value Chain System, which focused on the trade and then in entrepreneurship data, and then which infrastructure data. We combine the three data and then make some global value chain in like some industry system. So today I joined this seminar to, is there some good advice for our develop our system build up. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, my name is Tanya. I'm from Kiwami. Actually, I'm colleague to him who speak before me. Actually, I'm a freshman in this company, so although I majored statistics, but I'm here for this IDW for the first time. So this conception of sharing the data and reuse is very fresh to me. So this is very helpful, and I would like to learn everything for these 4 days. Thank you.
Welcome. So I suppose everyone within the room has introduced herself or himself, and we can carry on. I think there's, if I look into the list of 3 names here, we'll probably have not introduced yet. There's Dave Cornell.
Yeah, it's just really hard to hear anything from the IDW RDA 3 mic. Sorry.
Okay. So
really quiet. I can hear you just fine.
Thank you. Thank you. Could you please introduce, drop some words on your background or so?
Oh, okay, sure. I was mostly just listening in. I work for the Australian Antarctic Division, based in Tasmania. I'm the scientific data officer there, so my job is to catalogue and archive all of the data from our scientific program.
Okay, very good, very good. Oh, thank you, and nice to have you here as well.
Thanks.
Then I see Tenhunen Will. I'm sorry. I'm actually not sure how to pronounce it because I don't know from which language this comes. Tenhunen Ville or Tenhunen, yeah. Sorry if I misspelled it. Oh, dropped out. I don't hope that's. I don't hope that this was understood as an insult. That I misspelled it. Okay, so yeah, coming back to our session. So what I wanted to dwell a bit was the question of definitions. There are these very broad definitions or general definitions you'll find in some dictionaries or so. This is nothing we're looking at because we are dealing with data, so this is not what we are talking about. I took this first definition these in the first line, that's the rights and obligations with respect to collection, use, retention, disclosure of personal information. This is quite a broad term. It's taken from the generally accepted privacy principles, and if you're looking at that, there's underlying a link to this. Since I'm from the standardization field as well, so I'm quite active in the ISO IEC field. I took some of the definitions from there because this is also a lot of discussion going on in this field. So there's the ISO IEC 26297, which states that it's privacy is the right of individuals to control or influence what information related to them may be collected, stored, and by whom it may be disclosed. Looking at that, it's quite a difference to what we've seen above. There is the rights and obligations of the individual, and then we come to something where the right of the individual to control everything regarding the disclosure of the information and storage. And does not exclude any information that has been coded or has been pseudonymized. So it's a rather general term. So just keep in mind there are very different views on that. And then we've got the another term definition in ISO IEC 2382, which states that's the freedom from intrusion. So it's looking quite at a different angle at that. It doesn't talk about the right of someone. It's really, or it's the right to freedom from intrusion into your private life or affairs. Yeah, so it's viewing at a quite different angle. And then I looked also in the OECD because they, in the field I'm working on, it's mainly health data. There's a lot of terms and definitions are found there as well. And this is a very extensive phrase that says it's a concept that applies to the data subjects. So it's really stating it's about data subjects and nothing else, and it's not about the data themselves. And the concept states that it's the status according to data which has been agreed upon between the person, organization, receiving the data, and organization receiving it, which describes the degree of protection which will be provided. So it's completely different view. It's about already the use of the data in mind, already the sharing of the data having in mind, and now it's only about to the degree of protection. So completely different. And if you would like to have further reading, I could recommend to you a IEEE reference, and there's the DOI down there. You can look up this document. It's a very extensive document. It provides lots of on many different views and different aspects of privacy. So it's quite, I think it's quite recommendable to look into that. Yeah, I think as this is the very foundation of the work we're doing, we should really have a good and a very clearly delineating definition of privacy. I'm sorry. I got to look. I had to look into the chat just a second. It's quite nice to hear. Oh no, it's not nice to hear because having no lettuce to your dinner, it's really awful. I like to have lettuce to each dinner. I do have, so it's really can become dramatic. So, well, yeah. open discussion. What's your view on that? I think we're not too large a group that it would cause problems if everyone who wants to contribute just shows up and speaks up then.
So Jörg,
so what's your...
Andrew Trelaw here from Australia. I guess I have maybe an overarching question, and it's one that relates to a number of RDA groups, and that is that for certain areas of working with data, there are differences in the local legislation and the local rules and constraints. And I worry, well, maybe worry is too strong a word. I wonder about the ability of a global organization like RDA and an interest group within that organization, their ability to make recommendations when the underlying legal frameworks might be quite different. I guess it's more of a comment than a question.
No, it's well taken. I think this is something which touches on several working groups or interest groups within RDA. You're absolutely right, and we have to deal with this in particular with regard to sensitive or privacy of data. Well, that keeping in mind with this was the reason why there was on one hand the activity to collect or do survey of legal frameworks pertaining to data privacy. It's really difficult to come to some sort of a summary of that, because this would really need a thorough a legal review of these documents, and that's almost impossible to do for this group, and so we just collected them. That's the one aspect. So it's just to have at least an overview of what's relevant within everyone who's working within this working group, in this interest group. The other point is we will not do any, will not provide any rules or let's say rules, I think is the right term, rules how to achieve privacy, because this depends very much on the local legislation. There's one point that's just, in my opinion, the most relevant is one, to generate some interest in that, to have people understand these issues of privacy. They are sometimes really, the impact is really underestimated. Particularly when it comes to the so-called anonymization of data, where we I think we all know now that's almost impossible to achieve real anonymity within data, multidimensional data we're dealing with today. So we have to think about how to achieve a certain level and to define degrees of anonymity, so that data sharing is possible without violating individual rights. This might appear a bit ambitious, but on the other hand, we got to think about that. We are sharing more and more data. Data are accessible from many fields. We do have today the possibility to combine data from very different sources, and try to to relink these data, even if they look as if they are very different and very different places. It's not impossible to link these data. If you've got some data from some electronic health record, and you've got some data from a social network account, or from some personal website, whatever, it's not impossible to relink these data to a particular individual and to gather more information on this individual, which this individual would never have been disclosed if knowing that. So I think this is really an issue to understand that there are many possibilities to combine data. So we should keep this in mind, and I think not everyone is aware of this problem. This is one aspect, and this is a general aspect. This does not pertain to particular legislation. And then this is, I think, also a point for this best practice idea. That's best practices which can be recommended are most aligned with some legal framework. So you can use them understanding what is the legal framework for that and what's the solution here. So we can there collect these ideas, these best practices, and see they will not fit everywhere, but there will be, I think, quite a good overlap. And if you looking into current legislation in the field of sensitive and data privacy, you will see that there are some very strong rules in, for example, in Europe now, and in strict rules in other parts of the world. Very sure about that. I must say I don't know much about the Australian regulations, but I suppose there is also very strict regulation on that. So you can give them as a blueprint. Yeah, you can say, if you follow this rule or this practice, you will surely not have any problems. That's the next aspect. And then it's about data sharing worldwide. And you're talking about data sharing worldwide, you always have to you have to look at those regulations which are the most strict ones. Yeah. And those which are more relaxed, because you got to do the best you can, in my opinion. Is this a sort of an acceptable reply to you?
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Further comments, please. Come forward. And I think we have already received one good idea by Andreas, who's introduced this concept, which sounds quite interesting to me, and which I think would earn some closer look at. I think for the next meeting we'll have at the next plenary, or probably we'll have some working group IG meeting as well. So we can, I would invite everyone, and now particularly Andreas, since have proposed this already, to introduce those schemes which have been established already, so we could have the chance to become some view on what's currently underway, what are the sort of solutions already in place, and to think about, are there some drawbacks or there's some relevance. Okay, I got to, yeah, we can have this. Thank you, Andreas. Yeah, I think we can do this within one of the next meetings. And I will happily, and we will happily look at that. Okay. So, any additional comments? Also in the live audience, if you stay, just speak up. So don't be too shy. So, sorry. So I just stopped sharing instead of carrying on. Sorry. Okay. I'll then go on. With regard to the definitions, we should really work on that, and I think it would be a good idea if you would contribute to that. There is already sort of document there in the Google Docs. I just got to check the no, it's no. I'll send it out in after the meeting. Actually, I must admit there's the document has not been shared yet. I'll do this after the meeting, and then we can enter your definitions where you take either taken from your local authorities or some other relevant sources. I think there are some very crucial points in here that privacy can be understood very differently, that you can see this in the definitions. There's the notion from the individual, your rights, your individual interests, but there's also cultural background which has a strong influence on the understanding of privacy. There are cultures where the individual doesn't play a central role. It's more about the whole community. Yeah, so it's more the right of privacy of the community rather than of the individual. But there's also societal perception. So in some societies or some cultures, it's more appropriate to share information rather than keeping them to yourself. So it's a very relaxed view on privacy, which is quite different throughout the world. And we got to keep in mind that. So in some cultures, it's much easier it's not a problem to share any personal information. And there's also some dynamic in that. So this understanding is changing sometimes very arbitrarily. And this may be relevant with regard to individual needs. People in a particular situation do want to share their data and others not, or the particular data yes and other data not, and so on. It depends on your emotional state and so situational factors and so on. So this is nothing static, and that's another problem. So the legal framework defines something static because it got to be relevant to everyone at every time. But there's an individual perception of that, or societal perception, which is more dynamic or more changing. And sometimes it's quite different from what some legal or regulations tell. So this is something that also must be kept in mind here. So Andrew was leaving and coming back. So yeah, please, whenever you want to comment, please really speak up so we can. So I'm not doing my monologue here. If someone is want to comment or go more into detail in some aspects. Okay. Back to our presentation. So one part is the definition, so really to understand what we're talking about, and to probably we'll come to some consented definition for our IG at the very end, which combines all these aspects and which might be also more extensive than just a 2-sentence thing. Just make clear that we've trying to cover the different aspects of privacy. Yeah, the other point is the scope. The original scope I cited here. It was about developing a framework, how to manage human subject data sets, develop metadata set describing privacy-related aspects, build awareness, and really focus on any privacy-related concerns with research data. I think from the current view, I think a framework is something that hasn't been fully achieved during the first part of for the first time of this IG. This is still something to keep in mind, but something that takes quite a lot of time and a lot of efforts and needs much input. So from my view, it looks quite ambitious to do that, but it should not keep us away from trying that. But I should rather propose to look more currently for a little bit lower hanging fruits. There are actually no really low hanging fruits in this field, I should say. But there are some fruits which are lower hanging than the others, and we should probably strive to collect them. So a metadata set again is also quite a highly ambitious project, which is maybe a final outcome of a lot of work, but nothing we can really look into right now, as we haven't collected too many information and collected too many help in that. Yeah, having said this, what we should go for, what should we keep, what should we remove, what should we add? I think the question of the framework and the metadata set is highly ambitious and maybe beyond our powers. But I'm open to any proposal how to approach this currently. It actually does need a lot of input and a lot of work, and I don't know if everyone here is in a state to contribute that much on it. If so, I will happily support this and also work on that, but that's a very demanding job. Building awareness is clearly an issue, and that's something that we can do in parallel. I think this is one of the actually lower hanging fruits. So on the other 2 points, I've already mentioned that is about best practices. I think this is something that can be really worked on, because there are already solutions that we've seen, or very good drafts in this direction, going in this direction. That's and we've always to keep in mind fair sharing, where this privacy issues become really relevant. This is something we can, I think, really go for, apart from fundamental things like FAQ and the well, let's say more formal things. So that's one point. So what we're going to do, what will be relevant for this group. Yeah, let me look into the chat just a second. Yeah. So just a second. Okay. Yeah. The question: are these best practice or practices at all? Yeah, tested practices is nice. Yes. Anyway, yeah, Carly, you're right. We are. We cannot go as far as covering everything. We are talking about. We have to look in this, what the participants in this group contribute, and they would like what they can do in that. Surely. Yeah. Any comments? Any contributions? Any further proposals to work on from your side, please? So don't hesitate. Speak up if you want to. So if there is no comment on that, I think we can leave this open. One point which I want to make clear now, at least, is the question how to proceed further. We had no meeting since P18, but I think if we're now really trying to work more on that, to collect more input and to proceed further, we got to have meetings more often. I know, and this is something that's always difficult. I know this from my side. I know that everyone else is also very much involved and has to find spare time for these issues. But to keep things going, I think we really should have more regular meetings. What do you think? Could you think of having arranging a meeting once a month to discuss things? It needn't be a 2-hour meeting or so. It might be fully okay if we just have a half an hour talk or something less. Sometimes probably someone can bring some presentation or some document to read on to discuss, something like that. But really on a regular basis, so that we all keep track of the work going on. So what's the opinion? Can we arrange for that? Could you imagine to arrange for that?
So Jörg, if I can perhaps make a suggestion.
Yes, please, carry on.
Okay, so Andrew Trelaw from the Australian Research Data Commons. So I am also involved in another interest group, the Global Open Research Commons interest group. And one of the things that interest group has found helpful is each month to have someone present essentially an overview of what's happening in their country.
Okay.
And it's, I mean, it seems like it's a very low-level, straightforward thing to do, but it does give you a sense of the range of practices, in this case, in the area of data privacy, that are occurring in that particular country. And I think speaks to what Andreas Rower was talking about with this idea of sharing good practices, or my suggestion, sharing tested practices. So you could perhaps have someone talk about what is happening, let's say in our case in Australia. I would not be the best person, but I could imagine a colleague who could do that, and talk a little bit about some of the things that we have tried that worked. And so if you do that every month, let's say, perhaps with a break for the next 2 months because of summer holidays in the Northern Hemisphere, then over time you build up a bit more information about what's going on in the world, and also some ideas about things that other areas could try.
Yeah, well, very good. Good idea. Yeah. We can have this. I think this makes sense to have this, absolutely. And we can at least have this meeting, short presentation on that, probably discussion and the issues that come up. That's very good. Just to also to have, let's say, some tour d'horizon of the whole area of privacy. I'm already looking into my international time app, because that's always the problem, that we got to find a time which at least fits for most people around the world, so that no one has to get up at 4 in the morning or have meetings at 1 in the night. So if I see this correctly, something around 10, 11, 12 UTC could probably fit most. I think 11 UTC. Yeah, well, you have to keep in mind that we have sometimes summertime as this daylight saving story, so this shifts a bit. But 11 UTC, that would be in ACT 2100. That sounds, I think, reasonable.
Yeah, the issue will be the west coast of the US.
Yeah, the west coast US is always a problem. Eastern time is fine. I think this is okay. This would be something in the morning, a bit early in the morning, but you could have it with your coffee. West coast US is really an issue, because this is yeah. Is there someone from the west coast US here? I must say I got to look into the members list, but was there someone? Otherwise, I say if there's no one from the west coast, it may probably not be that much of a problem. Looking into there's some. I think this was Indiana. This is Central. Yeah, so I think Central time probably in US. Or is it Mountain time? I don't know. So what's the opinion? Can we do that? Something let's say 11 UTC, or yeah, much earlier would be worse, because this would then be rather early in the US Eastern time. Are there any days preferred? So I think we should have this really on a regular basis, not just spontaneous call. Or what do you think? Mostly, in my experience, it's very good to have it on a regular scheme. So there's everyone knows when it will happen. So, is there any weekday which is absolutely impossible? Except, let's say, for Sundays or Saturdays probably, and
so if I can, Jörg, if I
there
can speak on
are
behalf of the
as
Australians again, it would be good if you could avoid Friday, because Friday in the morning is great for you. Friday late at night is not so good for us.
okay, I see. So, well, is Monday fine? So we could have a scheme like each first Monday of the month, or last Monday of the month, or second Monday of the month. Monday is probably okay. Any opinions on that? There's someone in the waiting room. Okay, so keep to the Monday. Let's say to have it on a very good regular scheme, first Monday of the month, and starting in September. Then, or is it? No, it's let me see. Still holiday then, vacation time, probably. So probably better to. So it's the. Yeah. Okay, we could start in September then, and have it from then on, from the 5th of September, every month on the first Monday at what is it, 11 UTC. Okay, so and there is, since there has been this first hint already by Andreas, may I invite you, Andreas, then to report on your work on the 5th of September this year. So just to start with.
Does it work now? Yeah. So
yeah.
It's a bit, these hybrid meetings are a bit complex, but they give me physical exercise, so that's good. Yeah, so currently Monday the 5th looks good from my perspective, so I can briefly introduce what we have done, but I haven't really progressed much with this working group idea yet. There was more like sounding out the idea whether there's enough people in this room or in this interest group that might be interested in launching this initiative. I've had a few contacts to other teams, mostly in Europe, that are operating such data visiting infrastructures, and they were highly interested in exchanging information on how they're operating them, issues they identified, because that's stuff that's usually not published. And I think that's what such working groups are ideal for, because they are open but still closed. It's not something you put on paper where you write down things that didn't work out, or where you ran into issues, or where you might fear security holes and stuff like that. So I think this is an ideal venue for this. So I'm very happy to present the idea briefly and see whether there is more interest from other members of this interest group to join this. And if so, then I would suggest actually launching a working group. I like working groups there because they're short-lived. They have one specific task, do it, and then some of them live on for longer. Others then have done the task and finish. We would really look forward to identifying similarities, issues, architectural, procedural issues that those institutions have, share that information and see where we go from there. So that would be the idea. It goes a bit beyond the scope of this interest group because it's not only privacy, but any kind of sensitive data. So we would also be discussing the same issues for purely commercial data that shouldn't be leaked, which doesn't have any privacy issues, but the characteristics are very similar. You can also apply k-anonymity to protect whatever the income or turnaround of a shop or whatever other your stock holdings that you have, whatever there is to be protected. So the concepts I think are similar, although obviously the ethical implications are lacking. So it's an easier setting, a more technical setting than the one that you're addressing here. I always like to pick the easy
yeah, and there are less legal regulations with regard to sensitive data. There is things like intellectual property and so on, and yeah, in some cases you got to think of issues as in Nagoya Protocol, things like that, which pertain to that. But actually, there is it's less regulated than the whole field of data privacy. So.
Ultimately, I guess the concepts are very similar, and the issues that we need to address are very similar. The whole concept of trust, being able to trust in an infrastructure to actually live up to its expectations, will be very similar. So I think there is sufficient overlap to at least, have it integrated in this IG, or actually, discussing it in this context. So yeah, I'll put something together. I might even send it out to you, or share it via the mailing list of the interest group, and then whoever is interested can join, and any comments are of course always welcome.
Yeah, you may use I think you should have access to the repository of this interest group as well, so you can share your documents there as well. It's not a problem.
Yeah, sure, very happily so. So
yeah,
that
very
was
good.
September
Fine.
5.
Exactly.
What was the time?
11 UTC.
11 UTC, yeah.
So it's for Austria, it's 1 noon. So yeah.
Good.
Very good.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I think this is can be a good start for us. So I've put this down already in the slides, which I will share afterwards on our platform as well. Yeah, some further proposals, any other matter to discuss? Something in the audience? No, that just looked like someone in the audience. So if there is nothing more to that, and nothing further to discuss, I would just propose to adjourn today for the time being, and we'll meet on September the 5th. I'll distribute a Zoom link accordingly, so you can log in there. I think this is no problem. I always find it quite helpful for taking notes afterwards and to have the minutes prepared to record the meetings, as it's done right now also here. Does anyone object to recording of the meeting? So it was not meant to distribute them on YouTube or so. It's only about having the recording available for later revisiting them. So if there's nothing else, So we'll have a Zoom meeting then. I will distribute the link for that as soon as available. I got to register the meeting then, and we'll meet in September. And I wish everyone a further interesting and meeting, lively discussions, and those who have the chance to stay in Seoul, yeah, do not stick only to the conference room. Seoul is a fascinating city. It's really great to go over there. All these historic buildings, all these great views. Go to the National Museum. I've been there, the National Museum of National Culture. It's impressive what has been collected there on the thousands of years of cultural development. It's really great, and enjoy your time over there. And those who are like me, not so lucky, enjoy your time at home. So see you then in September. All the best to you. Have a good time, and yeah, all the best to you. Bye.
Bye bye.